All right, so today we're going to compare fractions and percents and decimals to percents and percents to decimals. And the first thing we have to do is decide which form we're going to use to compare them. So we have to choose between fractions, decimals, or percents. So I'm giving you an example here with the letter A, where I decided to turn my percents into fractions and compare them that way. So I have 7% compared to 1/20th. And what I did is I turned 7% into a fraction, which turned out to be 7 over 100. Well, in order to compare it to 1/20th, I needed to turn 1/20th into hundreds because they need to have the same denominator. So I turned 1/20th into its equivalent, which would be 5/100. And now that I see that 7/100 is greater than 5/100, now I know that 7% is bigger than 1/20th. All right, so here's the same example, but this time we're going to turn the percents and the fractions into decimals. So as you can see, what I did is I converted 7% into its equivalent as a decimal, which would be 0 and 7/100, or as many people say, 0.07. Over here, I turned 1/20th into its equivalent, which would be 0 and 5/100. So again, I'm comparing 0 and 7/100 compared to 0 and 5/100. Therefore, I can tell that 7/100 is greater, therefore 7% is bigger than 1/20th. All right, so in example B, we're going to be comparing 37/100 of a cup of flour versus 1/3 a cup of flour. So here's my work on the bottom. What I did this time is I converted 1/3 into its equivalent decimal. And here's my work on how to do that process. And as you can tell, when I did my division to turn 1/3 into a decimal, I got what we call a repeating decimal, meaning it's going to be going on forever. 3, 3, 3, 3, and that's why I put these threes in red, because it's going to keep going 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, and so on. All right, so now we've converted 1/3 into its equivalent, which is 0.333333. All right, so now we can compare it and look at both of them as decimals, and still, even though this number keeps going on forever, it's still going to be smaller than 0 and 37/100. Therefore, 0 and 37/100 is bigger. All right, so here's example B, but this time what I did is I turned 37/100 into a fraction in order to compare both of them. So here's my work in the bottom. What I did is I turned 37/100 into its equivalent fraction, which is 37 over 100. Well, I still can't compare 37 over 100 to 1/3 because they have different denominators. So I need to find a common denominator between 100 and 3. Well, that's a pretty easy problem. Hopefully you thought of 300 right away. So what I did is I turned 100 into 300, and remember that if I multiply 100 by 3, I must multiply 37 by 3, and that gave me 111. On the other side, I turned 1/3 into its equivalent, which would be 300 as a denominator, and that would give me 100 as a numerator because I multiplied 3 times 100. Whatever I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top. 1 times 100 gives me 100. So now I can compare the two fractions, and as you can see, 11/300 is greater than 100/300. So therefore we follow the line, and here we are. The biggest one between the two of them is still 37/100.